At the age of 14,
Mm-hmm.
you experienced a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
What caused that?
It was all the held in emotions. I was a child during the Civil War in Uganda, and going through that war and being a displaced child, just so many years of physical, sexual, mental abuse from family members and such, and just hanging on to everything inside, holding it in, not realizing I was holding my breath too long. So when you hold in, it's going to come out at some point. And that's what happened. My mind became my war zone, and everything hit me. The PTSD of the war, the abuse, just every abandonment I'd ever felt as a child, the rejection, it all came out, and it was an explosive moment because I no longer wanted to be here. I was ready to go.
How did you get to that point of almost being ready to say, I've had enough?
At that moment, in those moments, I realized all of what I had gone through, and I was exhausted. You know, when you're not even an adult yet, you've had so much to go through as a child, you become the person that takes on the burdens. You become almost like a third parent sometimes. You have to grow up so quickly. So you're maybe 14, but you're really in your 30s. Because I had been in so many situations at that point that forced me to not be a child. I had to grow up. I had to be aware of my surroundings. I had to protect myself and protect my brother. And that was the survival mode. And it just gets exhausting. So physically, mentally, but more so mentally, because I closed my eyes and everything was still there. I was having these battles within my mind, and there was no rest for me. As a teenager, that's a very hard place to be in, because you're already trying to figure out your place in this world. And now, when you close your eyes, it's just so dark and lonely and painful. And you can't understand how adults could be so cruel. And at the same time, the world doesn't look good. It just looks like a lot more pain ahead of me. And that is what had me thinking, I don't want that. I'm okay. I just want to go. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to have to face what's to come. I have no idea what's to come. I saw no purpose, no destiny, no future in who I could become, even though I had something to hold on to. My father had given me something to hold on to. But in those moments of despair, it's very hard to find hope in those moments. And because our emotions are so confused, my emotions were so confused, checking out was my best solution. And by the time I was 18, I had tried so many ways. So many times I was suicidal, and I wasn't going to stop till it worked, and nothing worked. I always woke up the next day and I was even more upset.
And how did it make you feel?
Broken. Like I couldn't even do that right. More chaotic. Everything was just a rush in my mind. It made me feel hopeless. Not that I was looking for hope, I wasn't. I just wanted to go.
Did you think there was a better life after here?
I had no idea what was outside of that. I just knew that if this is life as it is right now, I don't want to do this. And I was so broken in my last attempt. And I remember waking up and just crying because I don't know what else to do. I was lost for ways to do this. I was so broken. And it's in my brokenness that I challenged God because I was already upset. I said, I don't understand. Why am I still here? I can't die. What is this? And I said that if I have to live, I want to live a full life. So it's got to get better from here. I'll give it one more try. I'll give life one more try. It's got to get better from here. I want to live the best life possible.
What did that mean to you at that age? The best life possible.
I wanted peace, joy, love. I wanted everything that was stolen from me. And I realized that it doesn't just always come to you. You know, circumstances have a funny way of happening. They rob you, they take from you, and they make you turn out to be a different person than you were ever destined to be. But in that moment, when I said I want to live a full life, I start to possibly see a different version of myself. But a lot of times that means that you have to change your environment. You have to shift your mind, your thoughts. You got to shake up some patterns of your thinking. Same people cannot speak into your life anymore because they're not speaking life. There's got to be a drastic change, and I did not want to feel the chaos I felt for so long. It's not that this came overnight. I had this struggle for days, for weeks, trying to figure out how could I possibly be a whole different person from here? What does that look like for me? Not realizing that anything you want, you have to work with also. So I can't tell God, I need a better life and I'm not going to change something. I also have to make that move. That means if I want different, I have to move different. And that's where I found myself. All of that was through tears, through now understanding the pain I had gone through, and now understanding that I'm not going to be a victim of my story. It's not going to happen to me. I'm not. It was almost like an anger that rose in me, because if I check out, if I commit suicide, I will always be known as the victim of my story. To me, if I had an opportunity to think of myself outside of this world, I would see me and see shame, see pity, see brokenness, see hurt, see everything everyone has ever done to me. And then the choice came to me. What would I do with myself? And I let myself down. So if I have all these abusers and all these circumstances that have happened to me, and then I get the opportunity to give myself that life back, and I don't take it, I have now become my worst enemy. That was not something I wanted to live with if I was going to live. So I had to make a change.
That was a beautiful. Always wondered that when a person goes through sexual abuse, in your case, were your abusers still around you?
No, not by the time I was a teenager, but as a child, it was a family friend, so they came around all the time. And even though I knew something was off, it's when I became a teenager that I started to have these memories come back to me. Because when you're going through something, you can find a way to block it.
Yes.
You can forget all about it, like it never existed. But when I became a teenager, my sleep was disturbed because I would dream, I would have these memories return to me. And they were so detailed. So I would go find my cousins, the people that I believe were around me during that time, and I would start asking questions. I would start naming timelines and then realizing these weren't just dreams. These are memories returning to me. And when you are in a place of brokenness and trying to dig through all of that inside of you, you are also now open to rediscovering all of what you've gone through if you allow yourself. So everything I had blocked and just dealt with and coped through as a child started to return. And when I realized that there was no possible way I could ever receive an apology or ever be around these people or this person, that's when I had to learn how to forgive myself and release myself and give myself the gift of choice because my choice was taken away from me. When you go through life and it's rough, struggling, circumstances, and you don't have choice, it's just happening to you. But now I was in a position of understanding what choice looked like. Now I can write my story the way I wanted to write it. So now I can give myself that choice to reclaim my life and not just live in victim mindset, but now move into the most powerful mindset I could ever find within myself. Because when you go through so much and things have happened to you, there's no possible way that it just happened to you. There's something that is in you that needs to come out. And once you get through all that mess, it's there. And as you dig deep within yourself, you start to separate all those things. And every time that is inside of you begins to rise. And if you keep working at it, eventually it'll rise to the top.
Wow.
That's the work.
Yes.
That's the hard work.
Are you truly happy now?
I am. I am. And I'll tell you why, because during the Civil War, it was my father, myself, and my brother, and we were in this room, barricaded in that room, like a washroom with bedding around the walls so the bullets couldn't come through. And I asked my dad if we're going to die, because it sure sounded like it. There's gunfire outside, there's people dying, screaming, women, children, just pain, despair. And my father, in that moment, and I'll never ever forget it because it has brought me to this woman I am today. In that moment, my dad asks me to close my eyes and imagine myself older. So he says, just close your eyes. He's trying to get me to not hear what's happening outside. And he's asking me to think of myself older, which is really just asking me to visualize my future. Because if I'm asking him, are we going to die? It doesn't look like there's life after this. And he asks me to visualize or to think of myself older, and I do that. And when I close my eyes, I see a world where there's peace, there's joy. I really like it there. I see myself older. I'm helping people. I like what I see. And now when I think of that woman I saw, I know that this is who she is. This is who I had dreamed of. I am my dream girl. I am who I visualized. And that makes me so happy.